I'm Shauna Martin.
And I'm Misty Perlman.
And this is
Book Till June.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How's it going?
Great.
Good. How are you?
I'm so good.
Hey, Shauna, who do we have with us today?
Today we have me.
Let's start with you.
It was terrible. Again, terrible. I'm Shauna Martin. And you are?
Misty Perlman.
Nicole DeRose.
And Nick Olson.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Nice to have you here. Thanks for being our guest.
Thanks for the invite.
Mm-hmm.
So nice for you to show up on a Sunday
Anything for
And-
you.
and hang out. Thank you. Today's episode is titled "If You Stay Ready, You Don't Gotta Get Ready."
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Is that like getting dressed?
You would think, right? I think it's like in general for everything in life, right? If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready.
That's
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Proactive, not reactive.
Yeah. You don't know if someone's going to ask you to brunch or you're going to have to take off for the zombie apocalypse. Like what kind of day are we having?
Get up, take a shower, get dressed, be ready to go.
Be ready to go. I might get invited somewhere. I have to be ready
Absolutely.
to go. People don't have 2 hours to wait on me to get ready.
I like it.
But if we're talking about the beauty industry, we're referring to salon sanitation and why it's so important. So today we're going to talk about inspectors and penalties. So inspectors are part of our life as a licensed professional. So what that is, who governs professional licenses in Washington? Why do they conduct inspections? Are there any fines or fees that are attached to that? Who's responsible for the violations? Is there any bad advice that happens?
I'm sure.
Never.
Everybody's so correct. Industry bullies, because those are real.
Mm-hmm.
Sanitation nightmares. What are the solutions to all of these things? And then, of course, an open discussion. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's see what's up. Oh, Misty, you want to?
Yeah. So the inspectors and the penalties. To ensure that the public receives safe and legal services by licensed professionals. I mean, that's important, right? We have people looking out for us. They're looking for the evidence of proper sanitation and disinfection when they're coming in to visit you in your salons. What procedures are you following? How about all those solutions that should be properly labeled and stored? Not in the bathroom. You know, the cleaning supplies that are just sitting out when you're using the public restroom at those salons. Yeah, been there, done that. Anybody remember what the SDS sheets are for?
Ooh, I do.
Ooh,
Me too. Pick me.
Ooh, pick me. Yeah, Nick.
Safety data sheet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did they used to be called, Shauna?
MS.
MSDS. Do we still have those? Do we need to have those?
You better have
I
those.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to know what's in our product and what's in everything.
Yeah.
Well, and how to treat first aid, if something happens.
Yeah.
Right.
How to
Ingested.
store it. Yeah.
How about all those licenses? Do you have a current license? Or are they expired, displayed properly? Or are they just hanging up somewhere in the shop, in the back room, with somebody's name on it that may or may not belong to the person that's working?
I'm
Or
a
were
little.
you self-taught and you just don't even have one?
Ooh,
There you go.
Tips
My mom-
only? Is that a thing?
What's that?
Tips only? Is that a thing?
What's tips only?
Oh, so you don't actually charge them? They just pay you for a
There's that
tip?
when you're in beauty school.
Oh,
Free,
not
but I'll
charging.
accept tips.
oh my God.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that is very illegal.
Yeah.
My,
Do you have-
my mom works in Washington.
Oh.
And the last couple of years, they stopped sending your renewal through the mail.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's just auto. So
Right.
if you're not aware of that, I knew that a lot of people just didn't know their license expired.
Right.
So it's just important to also keep up on that, I think.
Excellent point. Yeah.
And there's that website you can look up all the licenses and see when they've expired or when they renew.
Sure.
I'm OCD and check mine. It's like, yes, still licensed. I knew that, but I thought I'd check.
Yeah. It's like, are you a proactive licensed professional or not?
Absolutely.
Right.
Do you keep it for discounts?
Absolutely.
Supply house.
Yeah.
What about if you have adequate insurance coverage for services
Mm-hmm.
that you're providing? Do you have proof of that? They're coming in. They might
Yeah.
ask you.
I still use
Or a
that,
business license if you
the
need
one
it.
that you suggested.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Mhm.
I think it's called bodyworks.com insurance, professional insurance for services.
Right.
Recently had somebody that actually challenged that. And she reached out to me. But it makes sense because there was something in the wording about it being general coverage versus I can't think of it off the top.
Liability?
Yeah, something like that. But it was like the way that they had it worded, and I was like, I don't know, like 4.5 million people are using this for that purpose, and you can't apply for your salon shop unless you have insurance. And
Insurance.
so it must be okay because a lot of people have their salon shop with that insurance. So I actually had to reach out to the state and ask them, and they just kept repeating that it has to have the minimum requirement dollar amount. I think it's oh man, why am I short of thinking today?
Probably $1 million.
Yeah, it's I think it's
$100,000
in the law. So anything over that is like you're A-okay. So that's all they really stressed about, and they weren't really. And I kept pushing to them like, well, what about this word general? And they were just like, make sure that you have dollar amount coverage.
Right.
So
And knowledge is power. So I think I still see out there on a lot of public forums where people are asking like, well, if I'm a booth renter, what else do I have to have besides my cosmetology license or my salon? They just don't know. So the inspectors, they don't care that you don't know when they come in. If you don't know the state law or were not taught the state law, depending on what school you went to, if you weren't, taught state law, it's not an excuse. Right. So hopefully today we're going to give you some information out there and provide some references for you to be able to look up for yourself and know what's expected so that when you do get those inspectors to come in, that you know what they're looking for and that you're prepared.
Amazing. We're going to be so prepared.
So prepared.
Oh, we're going to be ready. We're not going to have to get ready.
Absolutely.
But
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so with all that being said, who governs the professional licenses in Washington State? The Cosmetology Washington State Department of Licensing governs professional licenses. And then a lot of people get confused, right? So there's the DOL and then there's the Cosmetology Board. But both of them have a significant part in the licensing. So the DOL governs the licenses, and the cosmetology boards deal with the regulations and restrictions that pertain to the oversight of all the scopes of practice. They are an organization in charge of deciding whether you meet certain standards to become licensed or not. So then there's that, right?
Yeah.
And the cosmetology board will answer and happy to answer any questions that you have, concerns, or you want to report stuff, or you just don't know how something works, or you want clarification. They're available all the time. And then they have links online. So.
And you're talking about Washington State. So every state has their own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Every state has their own board. And I've even been online and been in some conversations. Somebody was asking something about Arkansas. Like how many hours do you need to be licensed in Arkansas? And a bunch of people are just throwing out ill information. So I literally said, well, you just go to Arkansas Cosmetology Board and look it up. It's right there. And I, in 2 seconds, went to Arkansas's website and found their link and copied and put it into the chat and uploaded it. And they were like, hey, thanks. Like it's interesting to me when something that seems that simple to me, like, oh, just Google it
and figure it out. And then it will pop up immediately. And there's apparently people walking around in this lifetime just like, well, I don't know. And that's okay. How do I find that out?
And I'm okay with it.
Right.
So yeah, but it's at your fingertips. And you can look up any board in any state and see what they're working with. And each state is unique in the way that they have their laws set up and their restrictions and their guidelines, how it pertains to their state. I personally think that it should be kind of a blanket.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Trying to get a national
I do think
across
they
the
have a
board.
lot of similarities, right? Probably 80% is exactly the same, but it's, the smaller little details
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
differ.
it's true. Yeah. But I do push for that in our board meeting. Like, well, what if we had universal laws that just blanketed across? They should be the same in any state. Mostly so licensed professionals can work in any state easily.
Right.
Are you on a board?
Well, I am on a board. I'm on the Washington State Cosmetology Advisory Board. And I have the manicure seat.
What a wealth of information we have.
And I just got reelected for another 3 years.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So
Congrats.
thank you. And I love serving the board because we get to touch on a lot of topics that are important to our industry. And I get to be part of the conversation, which is great. I love being part of conversations.
We're lucky to have you on that board.
Thank you.
And the show. Thanks for creating this. Free
thanks.
knowledge just floating out there and entertainment.
Right? It's just a wealth of fun. Let's go. But yeah, so we get to do that, and we meet regularly. We take, feedback from the public. If there's ever, matter of fact, I'm just going to plug it. So if you're in Washington State and there's concerns or things that you think need to be updated or addressed or be brought up in a conversation, all you have to do is email me. Matter of fact, if you go to the cosmetology board, our contact information is on there. So you just email, and then we can get in touch with each other, and I can try to, look at it, read it, and then see if we can do something about it, get it on the agenda, get it part of the conversation so that it can be addressed. But
I
if
love that.
you don't say anything, we don't know anything. So the more you say, the better, right?
Yes, because somebody's either thought it, saw it, or is doing it.
Yeah, and they don't know how to get it out there. But which I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm working on something kind of big for Washington State. I'm working on updating the title of manicurist to nail tech so nail technician, and it'll be officially changed as we're working on it. So it's not final. We're still in the middle of doing it. But it did make the agenda. It did get surveyed, and there was a large percentage of people in Washington State that agreed that it should be updated, which made me so happy. It made me feel like, oh, we're on the right track. We're hitting we're hitting the right marks, and we're really listening to, what's pertinent in today's world.
It's a need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also I'm working on to piggyback off of that, I'm working on trying to introduce something called a master nail technician scope of practice to the state of Washington, which would allow, my vision is that it would allow nail technicians to work in the capacity of a doctor's office, so with podiatrists, and then that would open up like a whole nother
So
income
similar
bracket.
to like the Master Aesthetics
Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
medically endorsed.
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you. And that also got a lot of positive buzz. So it's, again, we're still working on it. We're not close to finishing, but it's happening, and at least it's in the front, it's in the conversation, and it's being worked on. So I am thrilled about that. So if you want to follow the conversation, join us for these meetings.
I love it.
They post them online. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's see what's next.
Let's see. So Washington governs. They come in and inspect. They give penalties. So they obviously give citations, or do they give fines? And then who gets those? I know that there's salons that have renters, so I'm assuming they would be their own business people. But then we also have people that are commissioned. So like, who accrues those?
Yeah.
And how do they come back and check?
That's a great question. Well, as far as I know, the fines, sometimes they range between like $400 and $1,000, depending on the violation. And it can, I guess it can even be more, like a higher fine, and then also potentially jail time for like criminal charges if you, like if you cause somebody to like lose a limb or they died at the hands of your service. And then it's obviously dramatically different than a fine. But Sometimes, well, on average, I think that it's a 30-day compliance rule, just a standard. You've got 30 days to get into compliance. We're going to come back and check on you. Sometimes if it's I think if it's a judgment call, because it is up to the inspector how they're running it. If they want to say, you've got 5 days to get this into code, 10 days to get this into code, 15. So it's really at their discretion of how they want to do that. But as far as like who's in charge of the penalty, if you're a booth runner, the booth runner is you're definitely getting that fine.
Okay.
But then they can attach it to the owner also, because the owner is supposed to understand what's going on in their salon and then keep everybody kind of like up.
Holding them
Yeah,
accountable.
hold them accountable. So, but 9 times out of 10, if you receive a fine and they tell you that you've got so many days to get into compliance, once you're in compliance, then there's no more fine and it goes away because you fixed it. But should you not do anything and then they show back up and it's in the same state, you probably, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm guessing you're probably going to get shut down or your license suspended or revoked, depending on
What it is.
the level of violation.
And how often do they come out? Like how many times have you seen someone?
It depends, right? It's kind of random and it depends on what salon. There's tons of salons in their area. But I do know that they do aim to come out at least once a year.
Okay.
Yeah. They just hit it up. They're out and about, and sometimes people are calling each other and the inspectors are here. The inspectors are here. It just makes me laugh because it's like, what are you doing? Like, sit down.
Well, you're warning, right? They think they're warning everybody, like, ooh,
Well,
get
yeah.
ready, get ready.
Yeah.
Which is
If
what we're
you're
talking
ready,
about.
You don't gotta get ready.
Exactly. In a small town, they make a special trip out, so it's pretty much guaranteed that all of the salons in the area are going to get inspected. So I can see, but in a larger city, I mean, there's just too many to get through for it all to be the same day.
Yeah. Well, and then this year, actually 2023, they implemented what's called a self-inspection.
Okay.
Yeah, a self-inspection. Yeah. There's
It's kind of like HR self-evaluations,
Do you think that was due to COVID? Like once COVID was here that they couldn't come in, or?
No, I think what happened is the discussion was more developed around there's a sector of salons and schools that are constantly in compliance and they always get an A. They always have 0 problems, 0 citations, 0 violations. They're always doing the right thing. So we're going and it's like a proven track record. So it's like
a criteria that these establishes meet.
And and then if you're not on that end of the spectrum,
they come out.
Then they're coming out to visit you. But they do give you the option to just fill out your own self-inspection and send it back in, which I think is convenient. But also there's something to be said about the inspector coming in, especially if you're in a booth rent situation and you're working with a bunch of people, and then maybe so-and-so's not always towing the boat, like, you know what I mean? Like they're not always like doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
with the program.
Yeah. So it's like, well, it's a good thing that the inspector's coming in because they're not listening to anybody else. Maybe they'll listen to the inspector when the inspector shows up. But then there's some people that say that the inspectors never show up. So I don't know. Yeah.
Do you think a little bit of evasion may be a part of that?
Yeah. Or whistleblowers. I think like
Sure.
Like one time I opened a salon with my good friend, and when we opened it, like we were so excited. Of course, everything's up to code because that's us. And anyway, the inspectors came right in, but they came in like back to back. It was like 1 week and then another week, and it's like, who's calling you? And they just like, well, we just one inspector said that they were just in the neighborhood, which is fine because we did just open up. So I thought, well, it's because maybe we're on their radar as being a brand new salon. So they came in. But the other one, I was like, we just had an inspection. They're like, well, we had a complaint. And I'm like, from who? We just opened 4 days ago. Whatever. But then we kind of had an idea who did it, but who cares, right?
Right.
Come on in, take a look around, and be sure to mark an A on that clipboard of yours and post it for everybody to see.
If you stay ready, you don't got to be ready.
Yeah.
Don't got to get ready.
Yeah. And then we gave them cookies and they were so excited.
So if you do get cited, is there a list of people that passed inspection or didn't pass?
Good point. Good point, Nikki. So yeah, there's an actual public list that they put on a website that's for the entire world to see. And they put it with your name and the salon and the violation of what's going on.
I know in Idaho, on that license search that I was talking about earlier, it lists the actions that were taken on your
On that
license
person.
and if they're resolved or not. But yeah, right on the license lookup. So I don't know if Washington. I haven't looked at the site.
We'll have to look that up in our discussion. Because I don't know. I don't want to brag, but I've always just been perfect. So we haven't
You
had
do
to
your
worry
job.
about that. I'm just kidding. Don't
Princess Shauna.
Yeah, don't judge me, jeez. Okay.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
there's some common, aside from those people who are always perfect and doing it the right way, there's some common bad advice that happens, right, in the industry. There's people out there who will tell other professionals they never come to inspect, right? They're not coming. They've never been in my shop. They're not going to come visit you. So don't worry about what you're doing, right? Or they won't touch you. They're not going to do anything. They don't care. Of course they care. There wouldn't be state laws written if they didn't care. What about it's no big deal and you can just relax and you can just be sitting there and
How about it is a big
station.
deal and then you can relax?
Yeah, it is a big deal.
Yeah, even if you're in compliance, it's still a big deal. Because who knows, right?
It's
they
the
could go
state.
my God, they could find one hair over here and we are in trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen to that. One hair.
One hair.
One hair in a clean implement drawer. One hair. What about the lie that's told that the fines are minimal? Well, what's minimal to you? Is $1,000 minimal to you?
That
It's
would-
not to me.
Yeah, it would break me $1,000.
I mean, $1,000 because they found something that wasn't in compliance. That's a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
How much do you have to work
Yeah,
to pay that $1,000 fine? Just depends, right?
I would have to work a lot.
Or that my sister's cousin's shop never gets inspected, so you should be fine.
My sister's cousin's brother's
Yeah,
sister's
like whoever, like
shop.
they never got inspected, so
Yeah.
yours
The
should be
mobile van?
fine. Or that this is Washington State now we're talking about here, that you don't need your picture on your license,
Mm.
right? So that your name can match whatever does it?
We can share licenses then, right?
Right. Today I put my picture on it and I hand it to you, and tomorrow you put your picture on that name.
Yeah, Idaho doesn't have a place to put a photo.
Okay.
You don't have to have a photo.
So
but,
again, look at
but
your
at
state.
Washington, right, you paste your own photo on it.
Right. You paste your own photo on it. Absolutely. What about water bottles? Do you think you have to have a label on your water bottle, Miss Shauna?
You absolutely do.
100%.
100,000, 59, 25%. Yes.
Because what else can look like clear water?
Acetone.
Acetone.
Developer.
Developer.
Spray it right
Yeah.
on somebody's head, right? Alcohol.
Right in their face.
Spray that alcohol right on.
Oh, yeah.
hair.
Alcohol. Yeah.
Alcohol.
You just want to dehydrate it. I mean, maybe you're prepping for
Peroxide.
Hopefully not on bleached hair.
Just kidding.
Or back to what Miss Shauna was saying, that the misconception that they only inspect new salons.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of because people, it's funny how many people think they know the formula,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know the formula. Oh, they don't, for state testing even, right? How many people come back and they go, oh, this is what the test was. You don't know that. The test is
Right.
different for everybody.
Mhm.
Right.
Therefore, it's kind of the same thing here, right? It's different for everybody. It's different for each county and place. And I don't think there's really any actual rhyme or reason to it. It's you have a license and we're going to inspect you at some point.
And
And
depending
today
on,
is it.
yeah, and depending on the inspector, right? Maybe their thing is whatever, it's the hair in the drawer, or others are looking at, whatever they're looking for when they come.
Yeah,
depending
people,
on who you get.
different inspectors. Oh, you're right. Different inspectors are hyper focused on different
Right.
things because everybody, I think, has their own pet peeve.
Right.
Where they're like, oh, when I'm in charge, when
I'm
I
looking
see
for
this,
this.
this is never happening.
So
Right?
yeah, depending on who you get, they
Well,
might
I
be looking for
think-
something different.
The randomness of it is something they're trying to go for too. I mean, they don't want you to guess when they're going to show up.
Yeah.
So there is a random factor. I don't know what their algorithm is, but
There was a salon I worked in, and every time the inspector came in, they hyper focused on the towels being in a closed cupboard.
yes, yes.
Right?
Mhm.
No, you can't roll up your towel
And put it on a pretty shelf.
and it's beautiful, but they focus on that every
Mhm.
time they come in.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, well, did you see so and so? They still got their Barbicide jar out here by their station.
Right.
But yeah, let's look at the towel. Anyway.
At least they have Barbicide.
Yeah. Oh. Shots fired. Yeah. Anyway, what else? What else is some bad advice? You talk about the little hairs in the drawer?
I mean, yeah, you think there's hair everywhere. We think, oh, there's hair everywhere. It's a salon. What do you expect?
But you have to clean it.
Yeah, is the inspector buying that? I don't think so.
Right.
How do you get rid of that? Maybe a vacuum?
Your clean implement drawer has to have
Blow dryer.
clean.
Doesn't a blow dryer blow it all over the place?
But out of the drawer, and then I can
Oh,
sweep
shit.
it off the floor.
That I can.
And then you can wipe it down.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
We'll just blow it on someone else's station.
Blow it over there.
Not my station, not my problem.
Yeah.
I was talking about, not sanitation. I was talking about sanitation. Sanitation, not sterilization, right? Disinfecting.
Well, sanitation is cleaning, disinfecting is chemical,
There we go.
and then sterilization is no microbial life. Right? So some microbial life will live, no microbial life will live. We don't really use sterilization, although there are some states that they actually rely on that. They think barbicide's a joke, and they rely on autoclave for everything.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, why don't we just marry both though, right? Like, let's do barbicide, disinfection, and then let's also throw it in the autoclave.
Mm-hmm.
Be super clean.
So again, sometimes when you hear us talking on our episode here, we're talking about what relates to Washington or perhaps Idaho because it's so close to where we're at here in Spokane.
Yeah.
But if you're listening to us from a different state, obviously you need to look at your state law
Yeah.
and
Always.
see what
yeah.
it is. Whether it is barbicide or where it is that you're sanitizing at.
Yeah. What's required? Well, Washington State will even accept a 10% bleach solution
Oh.
as a proper disinfectant solution. Yeah.
It's probably more affordable for people maybe like just getting into the business if they can't afford everything.
Sure.
But
Definitely what came in the clutch when we had COVID, when like at the beginning, and there was no more barbicide.
Couldn't find
You
it.
couldn't find barbicide. You couldn't find wipes. You couldn't find anything. So it was like, well, bleach it is. So maybe, I don't know. I love disinfectant. So when I had to use the bleach, I was like, okay, I guess.
Right.
But, at least it works. So.
Shauna,
Anyway.
tell me about the industry bullies. Do we find bullies out there? What's a bully to you?
A bully is somebody. Just kidding. Industry bullies are real. And what I mean by that is when you work in a salon, especially, I think this is a thing that newer technicians, it doesn't matter what scope you are, newer technicians face when they join a new salon is you're joining with sometimes people that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, maybe even 7 years, but 5 minutes longer than these new technicians. So when the new technician shows up, I think it's kind of a bad misconception to think that, oh, well, you're new, so you don't know anything. It's like quite the opposite. They
Probably
actually
more up.
know a lot because they just got out of school. They just super hyper focused on all of the laws and sanitation and disinfection and all of these things. And Myrtle, when was the last time you looked at the law? When did you look that up?
Or did the law change
Yeah.
since Myrtle got
Yeah.
licensed?
So did it change since the 80s? Did it change in the 90s or 2000s? Are the protocols different? So I just think that there's a lot of times, so new technicians, they feel confident, right, in their education. Well, I know the ones that I educated feel confident when they show up. So when they're trying to, be part of the salon and they see things that are happening that are illegal and they just shouldn't happen and they're borderline gross, they're saying something, and people that are licensed for a long time, they'll go, oh, well, we don't really need to do that. Oh, what are you doing? You're over focusing on things, or do you have a OCD disorder, or do you have, so they're trying to downplay what the new technician's trying to introduce. And maybe it's not even a new technician. I know myself, like I'm a veteran technician, and every time I would go to work somewhere, there would be a lot of bad practices happening, and I would try to stay in my lane, and I would try to respect, people's licenses, because I am a booth runner, so I'm really just responsible for my station. Your dirtiness does not affect my clientele, thank God.
Well, people's health is very important. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons we hold a license in the first place.
Yeah.
Is because we touch people, and if we do things incorrectly, we can get them sick or hurt them.
Right. Absolutely.
Hey, did you guys hear about the lady that contracted herpes? Herpes.
I think I did hear. Is
from
that
just a manicure? Tell me how this happens.
Well, they are not following sanitation.
Hold on.
Sharing is caring.
She has filed a lawsuit for the shop, against the shop, I should say that. This just happened in 2023. I won't obviously. Well, I mean, it's public knowledge, right?
Let's not blast
jump
it out,
on the web, but
yeah, if you just do a quick Google of
you can find it.
Recent herpes manicure, it will pop up.
So she's seeking $1.75 million in her lawsuit for contracting herpes from the salon. She claims that allegedly the nail technician did not wear gloves, and get this. The drill bits?
Yeah.
Where are they supposed to be kept?
In a clean, dry, covered container.
And
okay.
then thrown away.
Well, they were kept in an Altoids mints tin box.
Red flag. Red flag.
Just a little mint box.
Her mints were in there too.
Tasty.
Ooh. So in the article here, it says that the blisters began forming around her fingers, and she decided to go to urgent care. And the staff there swabbed the blisters, and the test came back positive for genital herpes.
I'm going to cut you.
She did not have herpes before she went.
I mean,
that's not funny. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh.
The flip side, that's kind of hard to prove. Right. But
is it? Because it's not if she has a medical history with her doctor that shows no evidence of it.
Right.
Which I'm sure it came up for a tune of $1.75 million.
That'd be an interesting court case. See how
also, I'm just going to say this. If you give me herpes, I'm going to cut you, and you're going to give me a hell of a lot more than $1.75 million. It's more like 10.
On your finger.
On my finger.
And what does she do for her living? Or he? That would suck. Or just you're gloved up for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life, you can't even rub your own eye.
Well, and if you look at it a different way, too, right? It could have been a different disease. I mean, this goes to prove why this is so
Where was
important.
the inspector?
Well, this same shop, the same nail salon, 2 years prior, had already been fined $1,000 for not properly disinfecting their tools.
Come on.
Puzzle pieces coming together.
2 years, but did they go back the next year to?
Well, right, and that's what we're saying. So if you're looking to try to go to a new place that you're not sure, are they following proper procedure, looking them up on the website that you were talking about, Shauna, where we can find out, have they passed all their inspections? Is there anything against that salon or that nail technician? Or let's take this to hair aesthetics, whatever, all the lash techs out there.
Well, and we're in the business, so we know all these little things. Where the general public, I mean, how do they? They don't even think about checking a license or safety and sanitation. That's like the furthest thing from their mind, unless they see that it's nasty when they walk in.
Well, and listen to this, because there's also a portion of technicians that they use fancy equipment and fancy furniture and fancy things to cover up for the shortcomings for not cleaning things and sanitizing and disinfecting correctly all the time. Like they use that as a scapegoat. And people do. The clients, when they see that, they're like, well, it's super nice in there. They
check out those chandeliers.
They have chandeliers. It must be dope.
It's beautiful.
And they just never mind the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, and the client does not know about it.
Right.
Shame on those people. We had an inspector visit the school one time. They said that they were sharing a story about a pedicure foot bath, plumbed in throne, and they said that it looked pristine. It was gorgeous. The whole salon looked.
Oh, the filters.
Yeah, the whole salon was super clean, and they just looked glorious. And they said, pull that filter off. And they were like, huh? And she goes, pull the filter off. Let's see it. And when they pulled off the filter, there was like an inch of black sludge caked on the filter and the rim of the drain.
Sounds like mold.
It was much worse than that. They said they swabbed it, and it was like all of the coccyx, all of the streps, all of the bad stuff. I'm surprised Ebola didn't come back swabbed on that sucker.
How many people's feet have been through that filter?
So many.
Everyone's.
Too many to focus on.
But what's the solution? I mean, as the professionals, like Nick was saying, we professionals know what we're looking for, what's expected, but the general customer, the general clientele out there that's walking into somewhere, what should they be looking for?
Well, they should, right. That's a great point.
Well, in your classification, right? They give you A, B, C, not open. Isn't that supposed to be in a visible spot?
It is. It's supposed to be on the front door.
Look for that.
What should the customer be looking for? They should definitely be looking for licenses that are posted clearly next to the stations. Look for expiration dates. Look for a salon shop, and then you can even do a license lookup. Also, you should not probably go to just random people. Try to get a decent referral from somebody that you know that's recommending a solid place to go. As far as the technician, what's the solution to all of this? Make sure you're following the state's cosmetology board and the DOL laws all the time. And if you didn't know this, the Washington safety and sanitation laws are actually defined under WAC code 308.20.110 in the Washington state cosmetology laws. We posted the sanitation laws on our website, booktilljune.com. This is the only guideline you should trust. So when you're out there getting advice from people on Facebook, it's just like, just my favorite, right? When it's like, you could just go to the law and read it yourself, but let's go to Facebook and let's ask Facebook. And it's interesting how much misinformation comes back from people that really feel that they know what's going on. And I'm not trying to poke fun at those people. Perhaps they've been informed or trusted their educators to their own default, and now this is just something that they've adopted. But again, even if we're sitting here telling you guys to do something, you should still go double check it on your own, like verify it yourself.
Look it up for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you were licensed 20 years ago, you may not know what the current laws are.
Yeah.
Just to mention it, most of the cosmetology boards, you can sign up for their newsletters by email. And so you get the updates for what has changed in the current laws.
Absolutely. You want to familiarize yourself with the Washington State DOL contact information. So their website is actually dol.wa.gov. And the cosmetology board phone number is 360-664-6626. You can call them anytime. Ask them whatever you want. There's a full version of state laws. If you go to the DOL website, scroll down to additional services, you'll see a section that says laws and rules of cosmetology. Click that and the full spectrum of the law will pop up and you can download it. You don't even need to print it. It's like 200 pages. You just download PDF, save it to your desktop. You should do this and make this a practice like every year. Just logging on and going in there.
And as we spoke about earlier, all the other states, you just need to Google that state's cosmetology board and they'll have these same references available too.
Absolutely. And just for funsies, there's also a link for what the advisory board is covering on that actual DOL website. So whatever they're covering, addressing, or working on, you can also join a meeting. The meeting schedule is on there and you can attend meetings online and join the conversation. I will tell you this, though, there are rules and protocols to the meeting. So just because you join the meeting doesn't mean that you get to talk. There's an actual sequence of things that have to take place that the board does comply with because we have to. There are rules and regulations that we have to follow. And we will talk to you, but you only get so many minutes and it has to be at a certain point in the meeting. You cannot just interject whenever you feel like it. So if that's something you want to do, don't get frustrated while you're sitting there freaking out acting a fool. Let's see.
You know, it's important to be the voice when you see gross things. So if you're walking in, if you're the client and you're walking in to a new nail salon, hair salon, or whatever, if you know that something's wrong, I mean, the first thing I would do, me personally, I think I'm going to be like, can I go to the restroom real quick? And I'm going to go check out the restroom. And then I'll be like, oh, something came up and red flag. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to reschedule. Oh my gosh, I've got an emergency and I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Right. And don't rely on best friend Susie Q's cousin that said that place was great. And you're just taking that recommendation at her word.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with talent. This is about safety and sanitation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and then there are people that will actually go, well, they're very nice there.
Of course.
Well, I didn't say they were jerks. I said they don't know what they're doing.
If they don't know, they don't know. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you can file complaints online and they can be anonymous. So if you see something, say something, file that complaint. You don't want to put your name out there. That's fine. We've also posted a link to that on our website so that you can go to there and file those anonymous complaints.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys, saying that like there's just no excuses. Like you cannot look at the inspector and say, oh well, I went to my school sucked that I attended and they didn't teach me anything. They're not going to care. Okay. It's your responsibility to make sure you're current in what's going on and that you're in compliance at all times. So make sure that you're your own best advocate because you're licensed and it's literally your job.
Well, you passed the board, so you must know
you
what
should know the protocol.
Know the information.
Good point, Nikki.
You just need to build it as a habit. It's just at the start of your service, the end of your service, you just have these certain protocol that you go through.
Absolutely.
And it's a no-brainer once you start doing it and it becomes a habit.
Well, and I think it makes us more professional and not just, I do hair, right? I do nails. I polish
as
nails.
a hobby.
It's a hobby. It's fun that you take your profession and your license seriously.
Yeah.
And you have that responsibility to your guests.
Yeah, it's the most glamorous and yet you working so hard all the time.
Absolutely.
Industry that I've ever been involved in. Okay, you guys. So feel free to visit us on the web at booktilljune.com, where you can find helpful links to information that was discussed on today's episode, like sanitation laws, how to file a complaint, and then also a link to the article that we were talking about, the herpes manicure, on our website.
And you can also send us a message or inquire about being our guest.
Yeah.
We would love to have you.
Yeah, join us. All right. Well, I'm Shauna Martin.
And I'm Misty Perlman.
Nicole D. Rose.
Nick Olson.
And this has been
Book Till June.